The opinions expressed in this podcast may cause offence. Wayne and Trev do not give a stuff.
You're listening to A Midlife Less Ordinary, the weekly podcast giving you the lowdown on becoming a cool older dude. The good times are not a faded memory. It's time to start living them again. And here are your hosts, Wayne and Trev.
Here we are again, everyone. My name's Wayne, and I have the person to thank for all of this, amlopodcast.com, waiting to say hello. Trev, how you doing this week?
This is the one. This is the one.
This is not Opportunity Knocks. But
oh, right.
But it's knocking for you.
I was going to... I'm always knocking. I was going to say, what was his name? Not Lorne Green was the guy in Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, I was going to say that's Battlestar Galactica. You're thinking of Huey Green. Was Huey Green, that's it. Yes. Huey Green. Larry Grayson last week.
Huey Green. We're going to bring them all up bit by bit until we get
faces.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
New faces as well.
Yeah, Marty Kane was doing that, wasn't she?
Well done. You must have read my mind. I was about to say, what female comedian did they discover on New Faces?
Better if it's Michael Caine. But,
well, to be honest, Marty Kane was probably a better actress than Michael Caine.
Yeah, we've brought that up before, I think.
Yeah.
But, what have you been up to this week, Trev?
Oh, not a lot. Trying to get over the January blues from last week.
Yeah. Is it helping listening back to that?
Yeah, I think it did. Hopefully we helped other people as well, just not ourselves. Yeah. Just trying to put a positive spin on it. Well, the thing is, as we said last week, what else are you going to do? Because you've got to go to work. You've got to get back in the swing of it.
And we're over the worst of it now, aren't we?
I think so. I'd like to think so. And not only that, the sun's been shining a bit, hasn't it? Well, it's been cold.
Yeah.
The sun has been out.
Well, and Blue Monday's come and gone. Not like how does it feel? Yeah, not that. But it was this week was Blue Monday when you got to start paying your credit card back in it for Christmas or something. And that day's gone now. So we're
the big statements come out.
Let's look on the bright side.
The big statements.
But I know what you've been up to this week because, as you know, I'm not prolific on social media. I'm a bit like I was when I'm very shy. I'm quiet. I stay in the background. I find it hard to put myself out there. The podcast is the only thing where you stick a broom up my arse and get me going. And it's not the only thing you do.
But that's what you're getting out of it. Then,
it's also well and good. But I saw you because you tagged me in something. It popped up on my phone, and I noticed that you'd been watching Thunderbirds, and you tagged myself in my cameo appearance as Lord Stilton in Thunderbirds.
Lord Stilton, yes. As soon as I saw it,
the governor of the Bank of England.
I know that face. The governor of the Bank of England. Yes.
Very distinguished
one because that's. Very distinguished moustache. That's a really good episode, because that's the one where Parker, you find out about Parker's. Could be in a room with him. You find out about Parker's past and why he's called and why everyone calls him Nosy, which is cool. And light fingered Fred's in it as well. Who he meets in his prison cell. Light fingered Fred, and he's got a roll up hanging out of his mouth on his bottom lip, stuck on it.
Wouldn't be allowed to do that.
He basically, exactly. He's when he talks to Nosy in the clink, I'll get all these terms right. When he talks to Nosy in the clink, he actually says his ambition is to break into the Bank of England.
Oh, that's why I'm in it.
You are the boss of the Bank of England.
I know. I feel very distinguished for it, and I'm very honoured. And mentioning, I noticed it on social media, is what we're here today to talk about. And we've been waiting to do this episode for a long time, Trev. We've spoke about it over the course of a few years. I mean, one thing we can say about you, in all honesty, you are a bit of a bitch to social media, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I hate myself.
You do your beard modelling?
I do that. It's become a necessary evil to me. I even get to the point where I'm taking like screen grabs of stuff I've liked over the day or over the week, and posting them. And I'm like, I must post that. Must. So I've become a bit of a slave to it. But I don't see it as kind of well, it is social media, but I see it as an expansion of myself. Does that make sense? We all use, I don't know about you, but you don't use it a great deal, do you?
No. Well, this is what I could say. I was saying earlier that I'm not much different to what I was like at school. That you are acting basically the same as probably you were at school. So you were very outgoing. You knew everyone, and I think you still like that. And this credit here goes to Melody Wilding, who's an expert in the field of human behaviour, and she's a professor. Right. She says that humans share an innate drive to connect with each other. We're evolutionarily, if I could say it, wired to crave inclusion. Social media taps into this innate desire, but has it gone too far? And what the question we're asking ourselves is, Trev, is social media bad for you?
Oh man, it's such a difficult question to answer. Too much of it. See, the problem that there's bits. Listen to me. There's bits of it that really, because I think it's a wonderful thing, and like I share a lot of my passions on there. Not for having sex with animals, because I like to keep that one quiet. Exactly. But bizarrely, but there's so much kind of that people hang on to. The bit that gets me is, and I'm guilty of it, you check it and you keep checking it and looking at it just in case something new's come up. And you don't really care what people are doing walking past you in the street or living next door to you. No. But for some reason, because it's on your phone, you feel like you have to check what these people are doing. And you don't know any of these people, some of them. I don't actually probably know, I'd say 70% of the people that follow me on social media. Yeah,
but you're thankful for them all the same, aren't you?
Bizarrely enough, and for some reason you actually do care what these people think when you don't even know them that well.
Well, that brings me to my next point, Trev. Sorry to break it up, but just to remind everyone that a good way to kind of look at this is something that we saw about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a Black Mirror episode. So we've mentioned Charlie Brooker a few times now. We're big advocates of Black Mirror, the series,
very much so.
Very social media orientated, and where we're going with it. And there's an episode I had to look into it because I remember telling Trev about this at the time, because this is going back a few years, but Trev had a lot of followers, and I said it reminded me of you, Trev. I said you should, and this is when you got into Black Mirror, wasn't it? And,
it was,
And this episode was called Nosedive, and it was series 3, episode 1. And it's basically an insecure office worker living in a smiley, status-obsessed nightmare finds a way to join an old friend as one of society's elites. And that's basically through social media. Basically, everyone you pass in the street rates you on their app, basically, as they pass and what they think of you. And you basically, it's like a class system, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is, you're right. The bizarre thing as well is, there'd be people that follow you on social media, and then you'll pass them in the street and they won't even say anything to you.
Yes.
And you'll be like, hold on, it's not as though they don't recognise you, because I can be quite guilty of the odd selfie and stuff. So
just a few.
That's bizarre, isn't it? So why would you follow someone, but not actually? Because I always interact with someone. If I think, oh, hold on, don't I follow you on? I'll always interact, because that's the idea of it, isn't it? I don't know.
You're a very social animal. It becomes naturally to you. But the thing is, you're bold enough and you're intelligent enough in this case to step out of your
only in this case
to step out of yourself and kind of recognise that it is you, and you enjoy putting yourself out there. But at the same time, you're asking yourself the question: why am I such a slave to this kind of media, aren't you?
Yeah, it's bizarre, because I remember having a conversation with a fellow who's a bit older than us, who I used to work with, and he was dead against it. He was just like, oh, it causes trouble, causes this, causes it. And admittedly, it can. But as I tried to say to him, and I'm not like being all Freudian here, but I said it's a bit like owning a car or owning a gun. It's only dangerous if you use it in a certain way.
Yeah.
If you're going to drive a car on the pavement, you're going to fucking run people over. Yeah. If you're going to aim a loaded gun at people and shoot it, then you're going to do damage with it. And social media is like that. To me, I think if you're looking, the trouble is the temptation, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the problem. You're seeing, and you can reinvent yourself.
Yeah. Well,
you can pretend to be who you're not.
Well, if you wanted to push your views, Trev, for 25, 30 years ago, you would have to go and set up in Hyde Park on a soapbox and shout out to a group of people and hope that they spread your word. You can now do that with the power of 6,000 odd people, I think, in your case, just at the touch of a button and a few words, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, it is really great when you find people of a similar ilk to you and are into this very similar stuff and you can learn stuff from it. And it's great. But again, all of a sudden, sort of people, especially Instagram, seem to just think it's like a dating app, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the other side of it. Well, it's not, is it? It's not, you know. Yeah, it is very bizarre. Very bizarre. And isn't it weird? I don't know, but how certain social media things have just died. Remember MySpace?
Yeah, I was on there. Yeah, before Facebook.
Yeah. And that was just kind of, and you know, and like I hardly use Facebook, although you know it seems I use it a lot because stuff comes up on there. But I hardly ever use Facebook. And we don't touch. I've got a Twitter account, but I don't use that because I don't really know how it works. And LinkedIn, I think one of the best comments I heard about LinkedIn was LinkedIn is like the how you want to be seen. Facebook is what you really are, which is true, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's
people so
based.
easily forget. Yeah, people so easily forget how many people can see the stuff you put on.
Well, you should never put anything on social media that you're not prepared to say in reality.
That's very true.
Because this is how in future employers, I mean, it's not going to matter to us because we're dead soon anyway. But, you know, for younger people, it's coming out now, Trev, isn't it, with social media, with these young cricketers and everyone who said things 25 years ago on a silly thing.
Yeah, you're a different person.
Yeah,
aren't you?
Exactly.
You're a different person. You can't, I don't think you can be held accounted for that.
No, because you should be allowed for growing up as a person and becoming a better person.
Yeah, of course. You can't. Yeah, there's all these proverbs saying, "Oh, you're not the past. Think, look forward, look forward." So why do people dig it up so much?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot sums it up. Is basically like we're them younger generation. They're natives to this reality, aren't they? This new social media. They're basically born. Yeah. If you're born after 1980, you've basically grown up with. First of all, the digital age, and then social media. We're immigrants to it, aren't we? So we grew up in a world. We were kind of still sort of 10 years old, and basically wrote on a pen and paper. You received postcards. You still communicated in a way that was traditional. Well, we're not scared of the technology. Our parents' generation couldn't even work a remote control, could they?
No,
you know what I mean?
Couldn't program the video.
Yeah.
Oh, do us a favour. Record like Blind Date, would you? Well, go on then. And
they didn't want to learn, did they? Weren't interested, were they?
My old man would get down on his knees looking at the because you couldn't even do it on screen, could you? You had to do it on the actual video recorder on the display.
Imagine that with our eyes now. Christ.
Oh, Christ almighty, mate. No, it wouldn't work. You know, and but I think the other thing, there's going to be a time where you're going to have where your phone's in your hands all the time. You're probably just going to have it surgically implanted somewhere so you can check this. You know, you're never going to be left alone. It's like people kind of, I'm not coming into work because I don't feel well. And next minute, there's pictures of them doing stupid shit somewhere else in a field or something. Well, hold on. Or they're just spamming loads of stuff. It's a bizarre thing. And the TikTok thing, I'm not overly.
That just seems like I'm 25, 30 years too old. I just feel like I'm too old for it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I've watched a few of them and some of them are really funny. But the whole thing with that is it's like what Andy Warhol said, isn't it? That sort of 15 minutes of fame.
Yes. But it works for some people, Trev. I mean, if I could leverage it because some people say they can leverage their podcast on there by going on there but I just don't get it. I go on there and it just seems like a load of young people dancing around in their cacks and
miming stuff.
Yeah, and miming stuff. I don't really know what it means, exactly. And I'm thinking, and this is what we mean and why we do this podcast. It's trying to make sense of it all. Really, I mean, it's like we're involved with it, and we use the technology, but I don't really get a lot of it and the way things change, and which and trying to make sense of it might help us to enjoy it a bit more.
Well, yeah, and like we'd like your opinions on how to get your heads around it if we could. Out of all of them, the one I use most is Instagram, and the reason I took to that more than the others is it seems to be a lot less personal, because any social media is just like a highlights reel, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I know people go, oh, this is me without my makeup on.
Really?
This is me that hasn't done his hair in the morning. Yeah, but and again, that's, you know, but that doesn't last, does it?
No.
You know, it's just kind of.
Well, I've made these mistakes. I mean, we'll talk about, I think we'll to do that on a different one. We haven't covered that subject yet, but dating apps and things, which I spent quite a lot of my life taking part.
I know nothing about them, so that'd be quite an education.
And that'd be interesting to go from back and forth. But on there, what you're saying is right. People use their best photos, and they're the ones they use on their social media. And when I was younger and I first was involved in this world, I'd be looking at someone like
that's their lifestyle.
Yeah, I'd be looking at somebody who looks like Heather Locklear, and when I turn up, it's more like Bella Remberg. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'd be like, oh dear. Yeah. And I learned how to overcome all these problems.
More than a filter used on that.
Yeah,
more than a filter.
Exactly. Yeah,
that'd be good, wouldn't it? The Bella Remberg filter. Make yourself. It always reminds me of the bit in The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. And they're sitting there having dinner with Eva Mendes. He's like, "Who is this? Who's this? Who's this? This is my wife. Yeah, who is this?" But Will Ferrell's character comes up with that app, then he face back, where you can like recognise anybody from the back of their head. Superb. But yeah, it is, and I think that's the trouble. If you're naive to think that's how people are. That's their whole life. That's what they do. Like, look at me in Paris. Look at me in Berlin. Look at me enjoying a night out with all my friends. Yeah, you know, you're gonna. Yeah. And I can understand our kids. It makes me wonder how I would have coped with it if I was 25 now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think we just understand. We just make sure that we understand all of it. I think it's all encompassing in that case. It's just you don't see these younger generation are never out of their phones, as you say. They're hardwired to it, Trev. No. And we're not far off that now. You can't help even when I'm watching a film. I mean, unless it's like really caught your imagination. But I'm watching. I'm looking at my phone. I think, why? What? Nothing's going to change in that 10 minutes since I last looked at it. Why am I doing this? It ruins your enjoyment of things.
I think as well. One of the other problems is like people vent stuff on there, which is ridiculous. It's like taking like pot shots from cover, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you wouldn't. I think that's as you say, what you said earlier on, you wouldn't say this stuff face to face.
Yeah.
But because you're hiding behind a keyboard, you feel like you
is that what they call trolls, isn't it? Yeah, these are those people. I can't believe, but they're usually the strangest people because these people. It's obvious the ones that troll other people because I feel I act exactly the same as I am in the real world online. If I do speak to somebody, I speak to them politely.
I think we both are like that.
Yeah, I don't.
I think if you were to lie. No, but I think there's a lot to be said from that.
But I tell you what, let's so we don't sound like we're slagging it all the time. Let's run through some of the pros and some of the cons. And I'll first of all, I'll run through some of the pros of social media, and you can tell us if you agree with it, Trev. Yeah, this is my little. Why is social media good? Nice. Little ditty. So
it reminds me of some children's TV show.
Yeah, I know, but it Will-O the Wisp or something like that. It probably sounds
it
like.
was. It was. But, it was.
The best things about social media: staying connected with family and friends worldwide via email, text, FaceTime. It's brilliant. Can't knock that cliff, can you? Super. You couldn't do that before, could you? You'd be sending a postcard and they'd be home before you got the postcard, wouldn't they?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
You can keep up. Somebody who lives in Australia.
It's a very good thing.
Quick access to information and research. That's brilliant. You never have to know how to spell anything anymore, do you? Or find out what a word means. No. When it's said on University Challenge now, I mean, that's basically every word that's said on the University Challenge. But when they say it, you can look it up straight. Well, that's what that means. That's great. Banking and bill paying at your fingertips. That's good, isn't it? I suppose. Yeah, it is. I do miss going into a bank anymore. No, you can't.
Yeah,
no,
can't blag anymore.
But at least you know where you are and you can pay for things. And it's sort of satisfying if you compare it to what it was like paying for things instantly, although it's easy to spend too much. Online learning, job skills, content discovery, YouTube, for example. All great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Involvement in civic engagement, fundraising, social awareness. You've done that, Trev.
Yeah, done that, man.
Providing a voice to some things.
Got a t-shirt.
So if you've got a mission, if you were talking about prostate cancer, if you're talking about something, you can get it out there. Get it out there.
Big audience.
Great marketing tool. Any brand out there can
we use it, don't we?
We use it, to promote. You do all that work.
Yeah, I do all that.
And opportunities for remote employment. Obviously in the social media world, it's all of them things.
How would we have spoke to and got to know? We wouldn't have done all the guests we've had on.
Yeah,
we've only connected with them through social media.
That's been some of the best parts of doing the podcast. I enjoy doing it anyway, but meeting the guests and coming on and it changing the dynamic slightly has been the best part. You wouldn't do that social media.
No, it's all been done through social media.
Trev contacts most of the people through social media. He goes through seeing what kind of guests we'd like, and he contacts them. So would you like to come on? And we've got a list. We've got a list to hopefully have later in this series.
Yeah, exactly.
To come on this time. So Trev, there's some of the pros. Let's just run through some of the cons and see if they agree with what we've been saying, basically.
Yeah.
That's my bad things, like kind of...
Sounds a bit funky.
Sounds a bit like Blade Runner or something, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Online versus reality.
What it reminds me of, very quickly? It reminds me of like when you're waiting for like a really cool sci-fi game to start.
Yeah, it's just waiting. The credits are coming up. Sort of.
Just press start. It does.
It does. Yeah, funny. When you say thing, I can just visualise it. It's mad. Like two hearts as one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Two hearts.
Oh, don't. Online versus reality. Social media itself is not the problem. It's the way people use it in place of actual communication.
Perception.
Yeah, and in-person socialising. You've just said this. See, it agrees with you, Trev. Friends on social media may not actually be friends and may even be strangers. So that's true, isn't it? They're not your friends. Well, I had somebody say to me once, "You can't argue with me. I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook." I said, "Really?
And
are they really your friends? Are they?"
What are you going to do? Get them to come around my house and beat me up?
Have you been down the last post or the Weatherspoons lately with them? Have you? 5,000 of you taking it over. I mean, there's
it's
some
classier to go there.
Yeah,
mate.
exactly.
They wouldn't go there.
Yeah, but that's right. It's increased for you. And another thing.
Do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am? Increased usage. Yeah, the more time spent on social media can.
How much?
Social anxiety, depression.
Yeah. How much do you think employers must hate employees that are just standing there? Honestly, if you walked in any place of work or shop or anything, I guarantee you there'd be somebody standing there leaning against the wall on social media.
Yeah, definitely. It's all
watching their dog fuck another dog. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
from The Office. What's he doing then? Oh, he's watching my dog fuck his dog.
But it's true, isn't it? That's what most of these guys in them sort of environments are watching most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's true. You walk in any. I mean, I'm trying to avoid these places just to be clear. But you walk in any sort of fast food chain or anything like that, all the staff have got the pockets in their phones in the back pockets, ready for it to come out at any given second, and they're not given a split second. Them people. But
no, exactly.
Social media is addicting. Yeah, when you're playing a game or accomplishing a task, you get a hit of dopamine, the happy hormone, and this is the same function when you post a picture on Instagram and people give you likes for it. It makes you feel good. So it might not be real, but it's mood modifying. Basically, is what it can be. That can be a bad thing. I like this word, and I've only learned what it was a few years ago when I saw people saying it. FOMO, fear of missing out, has become a common thing, often leads to continual checking of social media. That's my problem. What am I missing out on?
Same here.
What's going on in Southend's blooming social media, like Southend United? Even though they're in like the non-league teams, I'm still like, what's going on? Have I missed them like losing another game? It's just, you can't help it. You can't, No. We used to be patient. I think this is why we don't enjoy things. I think this is why sometimes it's easy to feel a bit depressed because you expect everything now, and rather than we used to wait and be patient for it, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of that. That is
true, isn't it?
Spot on. Yeah, it is.
Self-image issues. This is a big one. And this is what I wouldn't suffer with this, but I mean, if social media sites provide tools that allow people to earn others' approval for their appearance and possibility to compare themselves to others, and it can give youngsters. I mean, not people like us. We don't give a shit. We say we're bald, fat, in whatever else.
We don't just say it because we are.
We wear it well. We wear it well. But the selfie
badge.
Yeah, it is a badge of honour. But for youngsters, you can see what kind of problems it can lead to. You know, these girls starving themselves and boys starving themselves.
Then you've got all the filters they can use.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think you can take blemishes off.
Yeah,
like stuff. It's just. Now I understand it, but again, they're creating an illusion, aren't they?
Yeah. So
that's the thing.
I think basically that was quite closely resembled your experiences of it, Trev. But you, as I say, you use it and you enjoy it, and it's just an extension of you. But you can kind of walk out and say, I don't care. To be honest, if it disappeared tomorrow, I'd still be me. I'd still go and talk to people. You'd get on with it.
Yeah.
But how would youngsters get on with it?
It's just another tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Trev, I think now is that time when you're obviously going to tell us about the latest. I think you're going to tell us about the latest animated programs you've been watching this last week with the AMLO Stream Review of the Week.
I'm that obvious.
Oh, go on then, Trev. Surprise us then.
Well, I've actually. My partner didn't have such a great day yesterday, so I said, "Well, we'll watch something that's a bit for both of us." And just searching through it,
wasn't Boxing Helena then?
No, strangely enough, it wasn't. I can't think of what it was on. I found a movie called Legends of the Fall. I've got a feeling it was on Now TV. It's on Sky, I think.
Yeah, I think that's always on there.
One of the reasons it took me was it was one of my mum's favourite films, which was bizarre because she had quite a strange taste in films, because there was the normal middle-aged mum films of Kramer versus Kramer on Golden Pond, but the one she really loved was The Exorcist.
Yeah, which is not what you'd expect.
People are like, what? But I think it was the kind of relationship of like the mother and the young girl.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You know, but yeah, going back to Legends of the Fall, come across as one of those like sort of epic films. It actually won an Oscar for Best Cinematography. Brad Pitt's in it. It's supposed to, Anthony Hopkins is in it. Aidan Quinn, but it's supposed to sort of scale 50 years. And in those 50 years, Brad Pitt doesn't get any older.
He's Benjamin Button again, basically. Right. Yeah.
Very, very similar. The lead female in it's Julia Ormond. She was in everything, wasn't she back then?
Yeah.
Just because she had like the most luxurious hair. Yeah. She was like before the times of sort of Madeline Stowe and who's the other one I can't think of her name. It's in Groundhog Day.
Oh, and Four Winds and a Funeral. I know the one.
What's her name?
Her. The harder we try, the less we know.
Honestly, there's bits of the reason I said it was a good all rounder. It's very romantic. There's love interests. There's war in it. The First World War. It's got a bit touch of cowboy in it. Well done,
Andy McDowell.
Yeah, it's got a touch of Andy McDowell. Yeah, got a touch of cowboy in it. It's
a good
overblown.
Epic. Yeah,
it's
very
a bit overblown. Yeah, it's a bit Mills and Boone.
Not as much as the Holiday, though. Trevor hates that.
Oh no, not that sickness. Right, I enjoyed it again. And talking of like great acting, like Michael Caine, strangely enough, Anthony Hopkins, who is a really good actor.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. He has a stroke in it at one point, not the sort of strokes that we are quite partial to. And to be honest, his acting is dreadful, absolutely dreadful. You just think, well, if that's the best you can do, then well done, Anthony. Yeah, that's
You're not really led me into very nicely for my next selection.
No, it's
because sorry, Trev, have you finished with Legends of the Fall?
I have.
You've trodden on on Anthony Hopkins and not basically. I've chosen an Anthony Hopkins. I mean, these are totally random as well. Trevor and I don't collaborate on this before we choose these independently with things we watched. And I've watched something with Anthony Hopkins this week, and he won. I believe he won an Oscar for Hannibal Lecter, didn't he? And he's won. And,
I think he did.
I think he did. That was his first Best Actor. Best Oscar for his Oscar for Best Actor. Now, when I was reading about this movie, this latest movie, When you misunderstand the way her words are written, because it said Anthony Hopkins won his second Best Actor award, and I was thinking, second best? Who was the first best then? But it wasn't. It was his second Best Actor award, and it took me ages to realise it wasn't. He didn't win it for being the second best actor in the film. He won it for second best actor.
Yeah. So you've got gold, silver, and bronze.
Yeah. He's the third best in that. But basically, he's won his second Best Actor award for this role, and it's The Father, which is now available on Amazon Prime, and it's a
good film.
He is a tour de force of acting. I mean, he's 80-something years old.
Yeah, he's
now.
Ever so good in that.
And it might be because he's actually got dementia. I don't know, and he's just winging it.
He just turned
It's
up
just method acting. I don't know, but basically, it's a movie about. I mean, it's kind of. It can be a bit of a mind meld because it looks like it's all over the place, but you're looking at it from his perspective and how he sees the world. And you've got to remember that as somebody,
I was quite confused by it.
It is, but once you know the sort of device, and the device is that somebody with dementia that can't make new memories. They can only remember the past. So that once you know that and you understand that, the whole film makes sense. But it is a beautiful film. Olivia Colman plays the daughter perfectly.
A very good actress.
Very good actress, yeah. And I said when I watched it, I thought this film does exactly what Christopher Nolan keeps trying and failing at, which is to ever so gingerly reach into our minds, tweak the corners and meaty pieces of our perception before we even notice what's being done. And it's a very clever film that's been put together and by the end you feel so sorry for him. He's so good at it, Anthony Hopkins. You can see he deserves all the Oscars in the world for that role. So watch that now. Honestly, it's a 9 out of 10. It's one of them films. It's not, again, if you like the Fast and the Furious and the Fast and the Furious or Hobbs and Shaw only, this isn't for you.
You're not going to like.
No, it isn't for you. These are for people that sit there like Legends of the Fall, Sunday afternoon, sitting there, want to sit there with your other half, perfect in the winter.
Perfect.
This film,
just after you've had your Sunday dinner, just lay back on the couch and just let it go all over you.
And this is Sunday evening. This is Sunday evening that you're watching, and just getting back into the week. So that's my The Father. Watch that. It's Amazon Prime now.
Good film.
What's your next one?
Right, my next one isn't a film. It isn't a TV show. It's not animation, strangely enough.
Wow.
I'm actually going to tell you about a book.
Wow, you read as well?
Yeah.
Is there any end to your talents?
Bits of it. Yeah. Basically, it's Danny Trejo's autobiography.
Oh, that'll be something.
Redemption, The Life of Crime, Redemption and Hollywood. Danny Trejo. I've always a big fan of Danny Trejo. He did some shocking stuff in his time and stumbled across acting. Really good book. I haven't read all of it. I've read bits of it. It is ever so good. He again, acting really, he just plays himself in a lot of his films. Desperado, Heat, Machete, Badass.
Dusk Till Dawn.
They're just... Dusk Till Dawn. They're just him. He's just a really good movie presence.
Yes.
I think he's a Mexican, not a Mexican. He is. He just kind of, he just found his niche and just went for it. But what I've read of it so far is very, very good. Really, and I've wanted it for a long time, and I've managed to get hold of it.
So it's like an autobiography, Trev, is it, or is it set out in a certain particular way?
No, it's just an autobiography. Yeah, it's just him. Just him. He's got his own taco place now. Your Trejo's Tacos and stuff. He talk about made good for himself, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
because he was brought up very badly and got involved in the wrong things and was in jail for quite a time. But he's really kind of really done.
You've
well
got to be an interesting
to
make an autobiography good. He's got to be an interesting character, isn't it? It's always them sort of characters make the best ones.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, definitely.
Good. Yeah, good. Definitely. Good thing. They'll hopefully turn it into a movie, and then it'll fit into an extra stream review of the week, Drew.
Yeah, she said I'll actually talk about films and stuff instead of books.
It makes us sound more cultured. It's all good in my book.
Well, I like to think it mixes up, put us up with the higher brow podcasts,
More like Richard Dick Madeley's review he does with his missus on Channel 4 or whatever it was. But my next movie was one that I have to watch basically because it's hopefully future friend of the show, Scott Adkins, who we said last week was a shoe-in for the Gripper Stebson role in the new Grange Hill movie.
He's
British. He's the best. He's probably the best action man in the world at the moment.
Martial
so if you're looking,
arts.
because there's no one now. Who's athletic, the Jean-Claude Van Damme role kind of thing. No. And he isn't as young as he seems. He's a good-looking guy.
No. He
can play Americans very well. But he comes from West Midlands, but he hasn't got a Brummy accent, has he?
He comes from Sutton Coldfield.
That's right. Yeah, he is Sutton Coldfield.
That's where he comes from.
And he's a good-looking guy. He's late 40s now, but he's fit as a fiddle. You'd think he's 30.
Oh, he's unbelievable, isn't he?
He's great, but he just can't crack. He's in some of the big movies, but he always plays like a.
You might know him from Doctor Strange, The Expendables. He's been that guy. But
you think, he's good at martial arts, but you don't. But he does do his own roles as well, doesn't he? He has his own movies.
He does.
Avengement.
And give him his due. He's still, and he'll always be known as Boyka.
Yeah, Boyka. I would break. That's Dolph Lundgren. But funny enough, he's in this as well.
He's in that. He directed it.
Yeah, he did. He directed it. But this film's called Castle Falls. Trev watched it the week before me because he always mentions when he's watching a. Funny enough, I discovered Scott Adkins when I was sitting outside Lidl when I lived back in Southend in the good old days. I was sitting outside Lidl's doing my Saturday night shopping when I lived on my own a few years back. And Trev goes, "I'm watching this masterpiece tonight," and he just texted it to me because it was a martial arts week. He always sends them to me. So I'm looking. I'm sitting in Lidl's car park and I'm thinking, what's he watching now? It's like Double Impact 10 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. It's Kickboxer 5 or something, wasn't it? Or something like
Retaliation
that.
or one of them.
Yeah, it was like a one of them old films. I was like, what's that? I didn't know who was this bloke. And I started reading, and because the bloke was English, that's why I got interested in it. And I watched it, and I'll tell you what, I had a great time because all of his movies remind you of the 90s action movies. And Castle Falls.
That's the pressure, isn't it?
He's there. You're not going to, your missus ain't going to like it, so watch it when they're out. But if you like 90s action movies with Dolph Lundgren, with plots with like just blokes kicking each other in because they've stole some money off someone and good action, Castle Falls is great. I mean, if you look on the Internet Movie Database, it will show you probably 5.5 out of 10. But to people that like them kind of movies, it's a 9 out of 10 because it's basically just a normal plot, Trev, isn't it? It's decades of neglect. Yeah. Castle Heights is like a shithole in New York or say. It's packed with dynamite, ready to be demolished. However, no one knows that a gang leader who's now in prison hid $3 million like they do inside of the abandoned building.
His brother and he's got the tokery neck tattoo, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got the tokery neck tattoo.
He's got to be a bad guy because he's got a neck tattoo, so he must be.
But he basically sends his henchmen, which are paramilitary, into this place that's been demolished to find this money. But at the same time, Scott Adkins, who I can't remember his character's name is, goes for the money, and so does Dolph Lundgren at the same time.
He's working construction, isn't he?
He's a construction worker.
But you don't question how good a fighter he is because he's an MMA fighter.
Oh, because at the start, you see him getting disbanded from the MMA fight. Yeah, he's got a bad injury. He can't
kind of...
Like they always are.
Yeah,
but for that, you can tell what we're saying about it. We love them kind of movies. I watch all of Scott Adkins' movies. Hopefully one day we will get him on the show. He's probably a little bit too highbrow for us, but, we'll break him down.
Where we used to train, didn't we?
He worked
one of the guys. He was in a couple of his films with him, wasn't he?
That's right.
Which was cool. You know. So we'd love to get Scott on there, but and we're not just saying that because we do really like his films for what they are.
Yeah. Exactly. You know? So watch his movies. Support. He always says he posts himself on his Facebook page. Considering he's in Doctor Strange and some of these big movies, he posts himself. Support movies. Don't download them. Just go. Pay for them.
Exactly.
And,
he does.
Support the making because he's a producer and director as well of Accident Man. So there you go. Castle Falls. That's our recommendations for this week, Trev.
Yep.
I think. To sum up with social media, what would you say is a responsible way for people to treat? I mean, for some people of our age, you need it, don't you? But what's the sensible things to do to live by?
Well, I think about what you're doing before you do it. I think everybody rushes into stuff. I think to sum it up, one of the worst things was when that poor soldier got beheaded.
Yeah. Yes.
And the social media burst. People were talking utter tripe on there about it, and it really showed people up because they were posting stuff before they were thinking. Honestly, just think about it really before you do stuff because people will see it that's the thing. Even if you think, oh, don't take it down, for that split second, people have seen it.
And why post anything negative about people? You don't know how them people are feeling. Why post?
Well,
if it's a joke and
you don't know them,
if it's somebody you know and they know your sense of humour, that's fine. But if it's somebody you don't know, they don't know you. They might think you're being serious. So think about the consequences of your actions in that instance with social media. You have to be responsible. If you wouldn't say that to them to their face, don't say it on social media because it can have far-reaching consequences. It's a great tool. I think we've come to the conclusion, Trev. It's not a necessary evil, is it? It's just where we are in the world, isn't it? And it's hard for people our age to keep up with it, and we're the two ends of it. You're making use of it. You enjoy it. I'd say on balance, you would advocate it, even though you suggested actually doing this episode, didn't you? And kind of bringing up the kind of negative side as well. So taking a back seat sometimes, enjoying the better parts of it. And we just have to accept that the younger generation are going to be hardwired to it moving forward, aren't they, Trev?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I can see that happening. I really can. I think that's the next step. It's kind of you won't know that you're actually doing it. It'll just record your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
You won't have time to actually think about what you're doing.
I think somebody will take that idea this week, Trev, and it'll be like life imitating art, as they say. So
I think it will. But
that for this week, I think that's it. If, as always, amlopodcast.com. If you want to leave us a message, leave us a review if you don't mind, if you'd be so kind. We'll see you on the next one.
And if you're a relative of Scott Adkins, tell him to get in touch. We'll get him on it.
If you definitely get Scott Adkins to be in touch. If you're an action star and you've got people that can touch. No, I was going to say touch Scott Adkins. I was going to say
touch base.
I think I'm going down the wrong path here. But
I think you are.
That's for a different episode. So thanks everyone for listening. Trev, good to see you.
Thank you again.
And we'll see you on the next one.
See you next week. Ta-da.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please leave a rating and review and visit our website at www.amlopodcast.com to check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Start living them good times. See you next time.